family is Providence. Thanks for tuning in. I've been keeping up with this Durk case and the recent news that have been coming out about the motions, what the judge has been granting. It seems to be painting a picture that Lil Durk is cooked, and it breaks my heart because Lil Durk's massively talented artist. I feel like he's touched the hearts of so many people with his talent, his art, and I never want to see a black man go to jail. But at the same time, I gotta be honest, I don't celebrate criminality either. If you did the crime, you gotta do the time. I don't know if he's guilty or innocent, but it seems like the feds got a solid case. They've got hundreds of gigabytes of data, thousands of files. They're going to use lyrics, and they're going to use all kinds of messages, even things he said on podcasts, to paint this picture that Durk wanted to get revenge for Von's death. They're going to allow the context of fans calling him to slide. They have federal informants, people inside of Durk's own camp that's going to put him in places. They're going to add additional context to go alongside the data that they have, and it's looking rough for Lil Durk. It's looking rough. Now, obviously, who knows? I mean, I think I saw with the Diddy trial that the feds are not God. They're not completely bulletproof. They can bleed. Even though they did technically get a conviction in the Diddy trial, Diddy beat the most egregious charges that the feds really wanted in that trial. So essentially Diddy beat the feds, but Diddy's a rare case. He's also a billionaire or close to it. And he put together an all-star legal team to fight off the feds. Now, Durk got money too. And he's got a good lawyer too. I'm sure he's got a team that's going to fight for him very hard. But at the end of the day, lawyers are not magicians. They could only do what they can do. And it looks as if there's a tremendous amount of evidence that he committed these crimes, and the feds are going to do what they can to nail him to the cross. The difference between Diddy, in my opinion, and this Durk situation is that while Diddy is a scumbag and he is an abuser, let's be absolutely clear, he's not a sex trafficker and he's not a racketeer. The feds didn't really have any strong evidence that he was a sex trafficker and a racketeer. They seem to have a lot of strong evidence that Lil Durk put out murder for hires, put out hits on people. And the feds coming after you with a ton of evidence and people that are gonna flip, that have inside information on you, it don't look too good. Let's put it that way. Now, we seem to be getting reports from Durk himself, messages from Durk himself, his family, and even paying attention to these internet streets that seem to suggest that his support is drying up. Lil Durk, earlier on at the top of the year, he said, "Crazy how you gotta wait until it's dark out to see who really with you." In other words, he's highlighting the irony of the fact that when it's the darkest, it's when you actually see the clearest about who your support system is. And it seems as if people are probably starting to pivot now when they're looking at the trajectory of this thing and seeing that Durk's probably not going to beat this, and people who seem probably to be closest to Durk are now abandoning ship. People looking at the trajectory of it and saying, all right, Durk's done, time to move on. We got what we could get from him when he was popping and when he looked like he was going to run things, and now it's looking like he's chalked up, so people don't want to speak on it. We ain't seeing nobody say free Durk. I feel like when Thug was locked up, there was a lot of people saying free Thug, and they was trying to make Thug's situation out to be an attack on artists and an attack on free speech. And maybe the state case made people felt like, oh, well, it's only the state, you know, we could beat that. People felt more confident about it. I don't know. They're looking at the fact that Durk is dealing with the feds, and maybe that's much more scarier situation, and people don't want to get involved in that, don't want to be in the feds' crosshairs. People are a lot more afraid, and the charges are a lot more serious. Maybe people know that Durk really did it and they don't feel confident to speak out. I don't know, but we ain't been seeing no free Durk. I haven't heard nobody, no rappers really mentioning him like that. We also saw his mother. His mother said, "I was glad to see my son at court. The courtroom is getting smaller and smaller, but that's okay. He has his brothers and his sisters to support him." So less and less people are showing up to the court hearings. And it's just sad, man. You know, we're hearing that he was locked in solitary confinement for an Apple Watch that he wasn't supposed to have. And Durk just might, at this point, may feel like the loneliest he's ever felt in his entire life. And the question I pose, man, is simple. Was this all worth it? Was this all worth it? I'm going to be honest, man. I'm going to have some real talk with you. I think Durk is guilty. I don't know for sure. Maybe he didn't do it, but it makes sense that he did what he did. Vaughn is the homie. He got killed. Everybody was telling him slide for Vaughn. He couldn't open up his Instagram page without seeing 1,000 comments saying slide for Vaughn. You had 6ix9ine ridiculing him at the end of videos, talking about some slide for Vaughn. And Lil Durk felt like, man, if I don't do this, I'm gonna look like a punk. So let me go ahead and do this. The motive makes sense why he did what he did. If the feds got the case that they are hinting that they have, then they have straight up federal informants willing to say he did do it. Now, if you got maybe 1 or 2 guys saying you did it, maybe you could kind of finesse that. Maybe Drew Finland his lawyer can say, oh, you know, they've got a motive to lie, blah, 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 blah. But if you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people saying, yeah, he did that, at some point, man, the jury gonna be like, look, man, all these people ain't gonna just get up here and just lie. Okay. And if what they're saying matches the other data that the feds are gonna prove, and it just all fits, the pieces just fit and the lyrics just fit and everything just kind of fits, the man's just cooked and he looks guilty, like he actually did it. Now again, if he ain't do it, free that man 100%. I don't never want to see nobody innocent in prison. And maybe there's a small chance somebody in his inner circle was the one who really coordinated the hit, and Durk ain't really had nothing to do with it. But I ain't gonna lie, I don't believe that. It makes sense that he did it. And then I was watching that podcast episode where he went on DJ Akademiks, and he basically admitted it. Man, they don't say that no more though. They don't say slide. I wonder why they don't say slide no more. Basically saying they don't say it no more because I did that. And everybody know I did that. Then he went on to say those people that we took out, they didn't even matter. Completely dehumanizing them. And so now what, man? Was it all worth it? If Durk spends the rest of his life in prison, away from his children, away from his wife, away from people who love him, his family, the streets have taken another one from us. Why? All to go slide for Vaughn, who, by the way, went over there and started something he shouldn't have started. I feel like the streets got to update their code, man. Why the streets is making people slide for people who went over there and started something they ain't couldn't finish? I can understand if Vaughn was minding his own business, you know, just got done from a concert. Maybe he in his vehicle, they about to go back to Chicago or something. They leaving the city, they minding their own business. And Quando Rondo and Lil Tim and all these dudes just pull up and spray, and Vaughn is dead. They're like, okay, now I see why. I still wouldn't recommend it. I still don't understand it. It's still wrong, but you could at least understand why you feel like you got to slide. Why you got to go slide for somebody that went over there and started something, man, and died because Quando Rondo's man was doing what he was supposed to do and defending his homie. And we all understand that Lil Tim did what he was supposed to do, was defend his homie. And so now y'all pressured Durk to go slide for a man that went over there to go start problems that he couldn't finish? I don't know. I feel like the streets got to update their rule book. You shouldn't have to slide for somebody that went over there to start something that they couldn't finish. Their punishment should be nobody slides for you because you started it, you ain't finished it. Now, you know I don't believe in any of this sliding stuff, and I don't want nobody to commit no acts of violence. But if I'm looking at it from a street dude's perspective, why you sliding for somebody who died doing what they shouldn't have did? But they went over there, over a petty rap beef. King Von went over there to try to go viral, get a clip of me beating up on Quando Rondo so he can get on the internet and tweet about how much he beat up on Quando Rondo, young boy's artist, right? He wanted to look for a nice little viral moment, and he got taken care of. Respect, and again, I don't say this to be disrespectful to Vaughn, because that's at the end of the day another young man that was caught up in this street nonsense and lost his life too. So it is what it is, and I'm not trying to. This whole situation is a sad situation. These young men are all lost and confused. So I don't say that to be disrespectful to Vaughn, but it's facts. We got to be honest. The only way we getting out of this is if we be honest. We got to be honest with ourselves, honest with these young men in the community, these young women in the community, and we have to speak truth to them and say, yo, this is nonsense that y'all doing, that y'all engaging in. And so now, Lil Durk, a man with amazing talent to make music, got out the streets, beat the system, survived Chirac to go on to be a multi-millionaire. He made it. Billboard hits, millions of dollars and touring and all that stuff. He's done. His kids taken care of, generational wealth. He secured it, but he felt like he had to obey this street code that he grew up with, this broken street code that infiltrated his brain and corrupted his thinking. He felt he had to go honor this foolish street code to go and slide for a reckless man that he probably should have left in the hood, to be honest with you. Because if you're not on that wave of just trying to be positive and trying to be staying away from the nonsense, then you shouldn't have brought Vaughn along with him. He took Vaughn out the hood and brought him along with him. And where did it leave? Where did it leave them? What do they have for this? And the thing about it is this. Let's just say, okay, you know what? Let's just say he beats the case. Let's say he beats it. Don't think for a second that means crime pays or Lil Durk is good or whatever. Because the fact of the matter is that he's been locked up for a year already. This is a year of lost time, right? This is he could have been making albums and touring and time spent with his family. These are precious moments, time that you can't get back. So even if Durk beats this thing, he doesn't get out of this unscathed. So what does this street life bring if it means, yo, a loss of time spent with your family, your friends, money that you could be making? Now you in solitary confinement, dealing with the mental and emotional pain and pressure that brings? Why put yourself in that situation? For what? For the streets? How many people are going to die? Look at this King Von situation. Multiple people that was with King Von died that night. People died after that night by related injury. People have been locked up. Vaughn himself dead. Vaughn's kids are not going to grow with their father. Lil Durk is probably not going to be around when his kids are growing up. Why? Because they had to go over there and start something with Quando Rondo? Like, this is just foolishness. Like, the devil has these people trapped and blinded, and they keep going with the same nonsense over and over again. And it's sad because people in the streets, instead of looking at this and learning from this and saying, yo, this street stuff is just stupid, we need to leave this alone, we still continue to glorify it. Still continue to glorify it. Doesn't matter how many people die. Doesn't matter how many people end up locked up in jail. It will be, I think, one of the greatest travesties in hip hop history if Lil Durk does not beat this case, and we see one of the most talented artists of our generation locked up forever and ever. I mean, at least they took the death penalty off the table, but for murder for hire, that's the rest of your life in prison. At one point, are we gonna wake up, man, and realize that this ain't worth it, man? It just doesn't make sense to me. Well, I'll be continuing to monitor the case and continue to share my thoughts. Yeah, I just felt burdened, man, seeing the updates on this thing, and it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating to watch this happen over and over again, but it just seems like people are just addicted to the street life, man. Addicted to the street life and feel like because they got money and power and people willing to do things for them for a little bit of money and power, I guess at the end of the day, it becomes too tempting to just say, no, let's just be positive and make money and stay out of trouble. I mean, I don't know. To me, it just seems so simple, but I guess I didn't come from that, so I don't understand it. That don't mean that I'm giving these dudes an excuse, because I think it's stupid at the end of the day. And I think that they have the intellectual capacity to understand that it's stupid. But I do understand that if you grow up in something and you have an entire ideology just implanted into your psyche, it's hard to see past it. And once you have money and power, you now have the resources to act on these false ideas and beliefs about the world and society, where you came from. The temptation will be to act on it. I don't just got rap about being a gangster no more. I got the money and power to actually do that. And I got a bunch of people around me, a bunch of real gangsters that's willing to do it. And Lord knows they don't got any other life skills, so I might as well go pay them to go do that. Well, it is what it is. Lil Durk has been in prison now. He's losing support. And the feds look like they have a really, really strong case against him. It ain't looking too good. But anyway, guys, hop into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. It's been Providence. I'll see you guys in the next video.